Exactly what is that in your hand? Sometimes some of us get to a place where we're at our last dime. We have nothing else, no job. It looks like the whole world is against us. Well, I got to tell you something. God's got a way about solving that. And if we will listen to God and believe his prophets, we'll prosper. Elijah was such a character. He was being fed by the ravens by the brook where he was drinking water, and that was his livelihood because God told him to go there. I don't know many people that would go do that. They call themselves prophets, but they're not willing to pay the sacrifice. So God spoke to him as the brook dried up, go see the widow at Zarephath. So he was thinking probably, hey, I'm fixing to see a rich widow. Aha, not so. He goes up and he sees this woman gathering a few sticks, and he said, go get me some water from the well. And as she was going, he said, and while you're at it, make me a cake too. Well, she was fixing to make a cake for her and her son and die. Well, that was her testimony. But Elijah said, no, bring me a cake first. Now, you got to understand something. I don't know why God does this. He cares about our survival. And Elijah said, bring me a cake first. He meant that in the name of the Lord, bring me a cake, because I'm fixing to do a miracle. And then he prophesied to her, thus saith the Lord, the barrel of meal shall not waste, and the cruse of oil shall not deteriorate until rain come upon the earth again. So she went and got him water and a cake, and he ate and he drank. And sure enough, God brought rain for another year for that lady, and the barrel of meal did not waste, and the cruse of oil did not waste either. Interestingly, there was multiplication. So how about you? Is there multiplication in your life? What have you got in your hand? That's what's important. It's not that you got a job that pays a lot of money. What have you got in your hand? Can you use that for the glory of God and find multiplication? Yes, it's the answer to that. So I'm in church one day and standing out in the foyer. This is another man's church. And this guy walks up to me. He says, I've got $1,000. Who can I give this to? Now, why would he ask me a question like that? Well, I had a program called Power Finances, and I did it for 16 years every day. And I said, well, put it in my hand, because I know that I got a 100-fold ministry. There's no question in my mind about it. Too many people have testified about putting money in my hand and being multiplied. And he said, he hit my hand, and he said, no, I mean really. And I said, really? And I stuck my hand back out, and he slapped my hand again. He said, really, really? I said, all right. I said, come here and look. And I said, you see down there at the altar? And there's a woman down there with 3 kids. He said, yeah. I said, her husband just left her. She lost her house. She doesn't have a job. She doesn't have any money. And those children need bread and milk. He said, you think I ought to give it to her? I said, I certainly do. Now, I gave him a word. I certainly do. So he went down, and I saw him talking, and then he reached in his pocket and looked like he handed her something. So he came back, and he says, okay, I gave her $1,000. I said, you will not be disappointed. So a couple of weeks later, I didn't see him the last Sunday. He comes running up to me. He said, you're not going to believe this. I said, what? He said, you know that $1,000 I gave to that woman? I said, yeah. He said, it was not very long afterwards that I had a $10,000 windfall. He says, I have no idea where it came from or how it came to me. He said, it was an absolute miracle. Thank you. Here's what I'm going to tell you. It is the same miracle that Elijah did. Now, he may not have been down to his last dollar. And he may not have been down to his last cake where that's all he had to do was eat it and die. Well, I'm going to tell you that you can find multiplication if you will believe the word of the Lord. I'm going to help you with this. What is in your hand? You go, well, I don't know. I got $10, or I got $1 is all I got left of my name. All right, put it in the hands of God. God uses his 5-fold ministry for you to give into, or widows and orphans and like that woman, a woman that had lost her husband because he found somebody else, and missionaries, find somebody that you believe has a hundredfold ministry, especially a prophet. If you can't find a prophet, find a minister of some kind, and go give that whatever you got in your hand and have him pray over you a hundredfold increase. Yes, a hundredfold increase. Tell them specifically. It would even be better if they looked at you when you handed it to them and they offered that information from a word from God. And then you'll know, oh, okay, I'm just get multiplication. It will change your life. You're liable to get a job. You're liable to get you a car. You're liable to get some place to live. Something that you did not have before, God will multiply you and bring back your prosperity in some form or fashion. I didn't say make you a millionaire, although I've got stories about that. I just said he's going to multiply you. Now, I gave you a good word just now. So I want you to take what you've got in your hand and find somebody, maybe somebody that you know that has a hundredfold ministry, and put it in their hand and watch the increase. God bless you guys, and go in peace. Love you. Bye.